Hey, what's up guys? Brian Kelly here from Zombie Guitar. In this video I want to talk about the pentatonic scale. So usually the first scale that we learn on guitar is the pentatonic minor scale, position number 1. So that looks like this. So the reason that's the first scale that we learn is because it's a very easy pattern to remember. That pattern can be played anywhere. I just happen to play that starting on the 5th fret, but you can play that starting on any fret. And then as long as you know what key the chord progression is that you're attempting to solo over, you just move that pattern to line up with the key, and it's going to pretty much sound good. So it's a very easy scale pattern to memorize, it's very easy to move around, and it's very easy to apply over chord progressions and make it sound good. That's why it's the first scale that we use. But there's a lot more going on here. So in this video I want to talk about 5 facts about the pentatonic scale. So let's look at what those are now. Alright, so fact number 1 is that the pentatonic scale contains just 5 notes. So those 5 notes are the 5 notes of the diatonic scale. So the diatonic scale, when used in a major key context, is also known as just the major scale. And when used in a minor key context, it's known as the natural minor scale. So the pentatonic scale is just 5 of those 7 notes. So let's look at the fretboard and see how this applies. So let's first look at the A natural minor scale in just one octave. So you have the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So, and then back at A. So that's 7 notes right there. The A is repeated twice. So if you remove the notes B and F, you're left with 5 notes. A, C, D, E, and G. And that's the notes that make up the pentatonic minor scale. Back at A. If you look at the natural minor scale spanning 2 octaves, you still just have the same 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So that's 7 notes. If you remove all of the F's and all of the B's, you're left with just those 5 pentatonic notes, A, C, D, E, and G. So that's the pentatonic minor scale. So the same thing is true for the major scale too. So let's look at the C major scale because it's the relative major of A minor. So A minor, C major, that's a relative major-minor pair. That means they share the exact same notes as one another. So the notes of the C major scale are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. So let's look at that on the fretboard. So we're going to use this pattern here. Alright, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. So if you remove 2 of those notes, if you remove the B and the F, you're left with 5 notes. Back at the C. Alright, so that's just 1 octave. If you span this pentatonic scale over 2 octaves, you're still using just 5 notes, C, D, E, A, and G. So fact number 2 is that the minor pentatonic scale and the major pentatonic scale share the exact same patterns as one another. So in the previous example, we just looked at the minor pentatonic scale here and the major pentatonic scale here using 2 different patterns, but we don't have to. You can use the exact same scale patterns for both the major and the minor pentatonic scale, and everything's going to be exactly the same thing. It just matters what note you start on, which dictates whether it's minor or major. So let's look at the A minor pentatonic scale spanning all 6 strings, which again is just the notes A, C, D, E, and G. So starting on the note A, running through this pattern until you get to the next A, you play 5 notes, and that is the pentatonic minor scale. Running through the full thing across all 6 strings, you're still just playing the A minor pentatonic scale, but you're spanning 2 octaves. So if you instead decide to start on the note C and then run through this pattern and land on the next C, you're playing the C major pentatonic scale. The C major pentatonic scale has the same notes. C major and A minor are a relative major-minor pair. So when I started on the note C and ran through this pattern until I got to the next C, it was the major pentatonic scale. So I'm going to play this pattern and then I'm going to play this other pattern, which we used in the previous example for the C major pentatonic scale, back to back, and you're going to hear that they both sound the same. So you can hear that when I played this pattern followed by this pattern, they both sounded exactly the same. That's because I was playing the C major pentatonic scale both times. I can also do the same thing with the A minor pentatonic scale. Alright, so I just played this pattern and this pattern for both the minor context and the major context. So you can see that they both share the exact same patterns. So this also applies to the 5 pentatonic positions too. You can take this pentatonic scale, span the entire fretboard because it's just 5 notes, and whether you're looking at this from the minor perspective or the major perspective makes no difference. It's still the exact same patterns. So if you're considering this to be the A minor pentatonic scale, you just want to have an awareness of where all the A's are on the fretboard because that's going to be the scale root. If you're considering this to be the C major pentatonic scale, you just want to have an awareness of where the notes C are because that's going to be your scale root. But that doesn't change the fact that the patterns are exactly the same for both the A minor pentatonic scale and the C major pentatonic scale. Alright, so fact number 3 is that you can use the circle of fifths to determine the 5 pentatonic notes for any given key signature. So this was pointed out to me by a commenter named Shane, who commented on my other video, the 8 facts about the circle of fifths, and he showed me this. So I wasn't aware of this before, so thank you, Shane, for pointing this out to me. This is a super useful tip. So if you've watched that 8 facts about the circle of fifths video or any other videos that I made, I always talk about this concept. You can take your circle of fifths, you can see what the in-key chords are for any given key signature simply by looking at the grouping of 6. So in this video, we're looking at the key signature of C major / A minor. So if you want to know what the chords are found in that particular key, you look at the grouping of 6. So you have these 3 major chords, these 3 minor chords. So if you want to know the pentatonic notes, you simply look at these chords and just treat them as notes. So instead of looking at them as chords, just treat them as notes. But the pentatonic scale only has 5 notes, not 6. So you just cross out the one that's in the outer circle counterclockwise position. So what you're left with is the 5 pentatonic notes. So the A minor pentatonic scale is A, C, D, E, and G. The C major pentatonic scale is the same notes, C, D, E, G, and A. And it's always going to move in the same order too. So if you want to know the order of the notes for the A minor pentatonic scale, you're going to start on the note A, move to C, then to D, then to E, then to G. That's your A minor pentatonic scale in that order. Same thing for C major. So if you start on the notes C, D, E, G, A. So it's always going to move in the same order. It just depends on which note you start out on, whether it's the major pentatonic scale or the minor pentatonic scale. So fact number 4 is that you don't have to play the pentatonic scale using box patterns. So despite the fact that there's 5 pentatonic positions, you don't have to play them in just one position at a time. So the cool thing about guitar is that the notes move in 2 directions. You can ascend and descend notes in this direction, parallel to the strings, and you can ascend and descend notes in this direction, perpendicular to the strings. So because of that, you can also move in a diagonal pattern. So you can ascend notes starting on a low string down here, and then ascend diagonally, moving on higher notes up on the higher string. So I actually made another lesson that goes more in depth about this. It's called How to Play Diagonal Pentatonic Scale Runs. I'll post a link to that below, but I'm just going to quickly go over it here again. So this is called the 2-3 method. I don't know if that's the official name, that's just what I call it. I call it the 2-3 method because you play 2 notes on one string, then you play 3 notes on the next string, then 2 notes, then 3 notes, then 2 notes, then 3 notes. So it's always going to alternate. And this applies to both the minor pentatonic scale and the major pentatonic scale. So let's look at the minor pentatonic scale. So your A minor pentatonic scale containing the notes A, C, D, E, and G, played in just the box pattern, would look like this. So applying the 2-3 method, I could start, instead of using my first finger, I'm going to use my third finger here on the note A. So here's A, and then the note that's one whole step lower is going to be the note G. So that's your 2 notes. Then your next string is going to have 3 notes. And then your next string is going to have 2 notes. Then then your next string is going to have 3 notes, then 2 notes, then 3. So you can play the pentatonic scale like that. So there's multiple ways to play the same thing, but if you do this diagonal pattern way, the 2-3 method, you're essentially covering more area of the fretboard. Alright, so let's now look at the C major pentatonic scale. So first let me play the C major pentatonic in the box form. So starting on that same note C, I'm going to play 3 notes, then 2 notes, then 3 notes, then 2, then 3, then 2. So playing this is the same as this. And then you can continue up, of course. So fact number 5 is that you can take this pentatonic scale and you can use it to solo over chord changes with. You can also use it to help you target the chord tones of any given major chord or any given minor chord. So the whole thing is we're going to be using pentatonic position number 1, and we're going to be using the index finger for minor chords and the pinky finger for major chords. So always remember minor, major. So taking that, applying this to the fretboard, let's see how this works. So what you see here on the screen is the diatonic scale for the key of C major / A minor. The diatonic scale is the full 7-note scale, so it's going to have the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Or from the minor perspective, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Same 7 notes, it's a relative major-minor pair. So let's look at this position number 1. So position number 1, your A minor pentatonic scale, starting and ending on the note A. Starting and ending on the note C, it would be the C major pentatonic scale. So if you want to know what the chord tones for the A minor chord are, the chord tones are A, C, and E. So all that is going to be found within this pentatonic shell here. So here's A, C, E. A, C, E. A, C. So also within this pentatonic shell will be the chord tones of the C major chord, which is C, E, and G. So here's a C, E, G. C, E, G, and then C. So minor chord tones, major. So that was for the A minor chord and the C major chord within this key signature. So in any given key signature, you have 3 major chords and 3 minor chords. We just looked at 1 major and 1 minor chord. Let's look at some of the other ones now. So in this key signature, you also have an F major chord and a D minor chord. So sticking with this index and pinky thing, index on minor, pinky on major, put your index right here on the 10th fret, that is the note D, pinky on the 13th fret, that is the note F. So minor, major, minor, major. So you have your pentatonic shell right here. So you have your pentatonic shell right there. Those are all part of the scale. You're not playing any out of key notes, but you can also use this pentatonic shell to identify your chord tones for the D minor chord or the F major chord. So the notes of the D minor chord are going to be the notes D, F, and A. So here's D, F, A, D, F, A, D, F. So there's your chord tones again. And then for the F chord, starting on your pinky, the notes of the F major chord are going to be F, A, and C. So F, A, C, F, A, C, F. Alright, so minor chord tones and major chord tones. And then you still have the remaining 2 chords in this key signature, which is the G major chord and the E minor chord. So again, sticking with index for minor, pinky for major. So your index is going to go on the note E, pinky is going to go on the note G. So again, you see the pentatonic shell is part of this key here too. So again, locating the chord tones, if you want to know the chord tones for the E minor chord, which is E, G, and B, It's all part of this pentatonic shell. And then for the major chord is G major chord, so G, B, and D are the chord tones. All of that is found within this pentatonic shell as well. So G, B, D, G, B, D, G. All right, so within this diatonic framework that you see here, the key of C major, the key of A minor, whatever, you have all of your chord tones available to you right underneath your fingertips. So I always thought that one was pretty cool. If you want to learn more about that, definitely check out that other lesson about the one pentatonic per chord approach. But it's pretty cool that for all of the major chords and all of the minor chords that are found in any given key signature, you have a pentatonic shell that you can use to help you to outline the chord changes for any major chord or any minor chord. Minor gets index finger, major gets pinky finger. You'll locate your pentatonic box, and then you can kind of just find your chord tones from there. And it's all part of the same key, so you're not playing any out of key notes or anything like that. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize, but it's just yet another cool fact about the pentatonic scale. So that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.